Welcome to this sacred place, this special time, this community made holy by our presence and our commitment. I am Joanna Bliss, and I am a member of this congregation and of the Diversity Inclusion Group. It is my pleasure to welcome you to our Unitarian Universalists of Transylvania County virtual service. Whoever you are, whomever you love, you are welcome here. Today's service was planned for Pride Month in June, but was postponed because our original version was meant for an in-person gathering. And it was meant to help those of us who do not identify as LGBTQIA+, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, asexual, and beyond, to have a better understanding of their experiences, so that we all may become more compassionate allies. National Coming Out Day is today and every year on October 11th. It was started in 1987 to lift up individuals within the LGBTQIA+ community and to show how homophobia thrives in the darkness and silence. On this day, many people who identify as LGBTQIA+ will come out, a term that stems from the phrase, come out of the closet, to friends or family about their identity. It is our charge as people of a liberal faith to help shine a light on the lack of understanding that the LGBTQIA+ community experiences, and to be a beacon of compassion and love, so that one day there will be no need for a National Coming Out Day. May it be so. I light the chalice today with these words from Linda Lee Franson. We light this flame for those who have been ridiculed, that they may find peace. For those who have fought to marry, that they may celebrate. For those who live in uncertainty in the world, that they may have hope. We light this flame to renew our commitment that no one shall ever again suffer for the right to love. We light this flame to celebrate our kaleidoscope of diversity, working, loving, and living on the side of love. For this, we light this flame. Our opening hymn today is a familiar one. We are a gentle, angry people. We have sung this hymn many, many times, but I wonder how many of us know it was written by Holly Near after the 1978 assassination of Harvey Milk and George Moscone. In recent years, when singing this song, Holly has said, "We originally sang, 'We are gay and lesbian together,' but then we were surrounded by the support of allies, and so I changed it to 'We are gay and straight together.' And now we are learning more and more about gender and sexuality, and it now requires many more syllables than I can fit into the song. And so let us now sing, 'We are all in this together.'" So today, with gratitude to Holly Near for making the circle of acceptance even wider, we are going to sing this hymn using "We are all in this together" in verse 5, because the spectrum of gender and sexuality does indeed require many more syllables than gay and straight.
We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a gentle, angry people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a justice-seeking people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a justice-seeking people, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are young and old together, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are young and old together, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a land of many colors, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are a land of many colors, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are all in this together, and we are singing, singing for our lives. We are all in this together, and we are singing, singing for our lives.
At this time in our service, it is our custom to light candles of joy and sorrow. I light a first candle for all those who are anxious and afraid, downtrodden and oppressed, unwell in body or spirit, despairing and grieving. I light a second candle for the helpers, those who lend a caring ear and whose listening enables hesitant speakers to hear their own stories told out loud, perhaps for the first time. I light a third candle for those who stand up for justice, persistently knocking at closed doors to help create a better and more inclusive community, nation, and world. And I light a final candle for all those who are and would be allies on the side of love. 11 years ago, UUTC first received the official welcoming congregation designation from the Unitarian Universalist Association, indicating we had educated ourselves about the challenges facing the LGBT community and were committed to being allies. Since that time, LGBT has quickly grown into LGBTQIA+. Many of us may be unsure about these terms and what they mean. Today's service was designed so that we too can expand the circle and be more aware and better allies. The body of this service is in 3 parts. In this first part, you will see and hear enactors from our congregation ask real questions or make real comments that are frequently asked of LGBTQIA+ folks and can be experienced as hurtful, invasive, or scary. In many cases, these microaggressions are not intentional and arise out of a lack of knowledge and understanding. The questions and comments are being shared to help us all to grow in awareness and understanding.
She's really feminine for a lesbian.
So, what surgeries have you had?
You're only bisexual because you haven't met the right man.
She is so butch.
Well, they can get married now. I don't understand what other rights they need.
Yeah, but what's your real name?
Oh, you were gay? Do you know John Williams? He's my gay dentist.
Don't you think a kid needs a mother and a father?
Okay, we get it. You're gay. Why do you need a pride parade?
Now that you're a man, I don't understand why you're still interested in men.
Now that you're a woman, does that mean that you're into men?
Are you a top or a bottom?
If she's your wife, does that make you the husband?
I'm surprised you like to wear skirts.
Wow, I would have never known you used to be a woman.
You're so pretty for a lesbian.
I don't understand why we have to call him Roberta now.
Oh, you're gay? Let me introduce you to my cousin. He's gay.
I've never known a trans person before.
So, where do you shop?
He doesn't seem gay.
He is such a queen. I love your daughter, but I know she's living in sin.
I bet you own a lot of power tools.
So how does the sex work?
So, when are you really gonna transition?
Don't you think it's maybe because you had bad experiences with men?
Oh, we should go shopping sometime. I'll help you look really pretty.
So how does the sex work? I bet you're a great decorator.
Oh, are you taking hormones?
I would have never thought that she was a lesbian. He's really masculine for a gay guy.
You're only bisexual because you haven't met the right woman.
Bill, don't you think it's because you've had bad experiences with women?
If you identify as a woman, why do you dress like a man?
I have no problem with gay people, but really, do they have to be so in your face about it?
Wow, that was really hard to take. Can we get some sage in here?
What do we do with the questions and comments we just heard? Perhaps you have heard someone ask something similar. Perhaps you recalled something you might have said or thought in the past. What we hope to do together is gain a wider understanding. In the next part of our service, we can start to learn about the importance of claiming an identity because it feels for the first time like who one really is. And it is our responsibility as allies to respect that identity.
Raise your hand if you have had to ever call someone by a different name. Anyone?
Everyone should have raised their hand because we all know many women who have changed their name because of marriage or divorce.
Also, sometimes some childhood names are not accepted in the professional environment. Maybe Peanut isn't working, and maybe you should do Penelope.
Anyway, we've adjusted to these changes without any thought, without any protest.
So when people are going through this process of figuring out who they are, their gender identity, they might realize that he or she just doesn't feel right.
This is why pronouns matter. We must understand and support the concept and use of non-binary pronouns.
That means you might have to learn a new one. Most common ones are they, their, them, sie, here, hears, or sie, seer, seers.
Not sure what the other person uses? Just share yours first. Hi, I'm Sarah. She, her, hers.
What about name changes?
People change their names because they want a name that better fits who they are now.
Well, it isn't always about gender identity.
Right. No one refers to Muhammad Ali as Cassius Clay anymore.
You just did.
The point being that it wasn't hard to learn a new name.
And you'll forget. That's okay. Just apologize and do better next time.
What is most important to understand is that pronouns and names aren't optional.
And you don't get to decide what pronouns or names to use for somebody else. That's their right.
When talking about the LGBTQIA plus experiences, many of us do not understand the complexities.
When our framework is gay, straight, male, female, masculine, feminine, we are excluding so many LGBTQIA plus folks and others.
There's a handy tool in the gender universe that helps all of us understand the aspects of gender. Let us break it down for you.
The gender-bred person was created by Sam Killerman and has had many updates through the years. There are 4 parts: identity, attraction, expression, and sex. Each part is expressed on a continuum.
It's a person's degree of maleness, femaleness, or even otherness.
First is your gender identity. Think of this as the brain, how you feel, function, and live with regards to maleness or femaleness.
Or somewhere in between. Or something else, really.
What many of us want to do is make it binary, male or female. This is why the term non-binary has popped into use.
Some of us don't identify as male or female or identify as both. That's why he, she pronouns are problematic sometimes.
He or she just doesn't cut the mustard.
Whatever that means.
If you know you identify as male, but have been identified by science and the doctor as female, that makes you transgender or trans.
And you may or may not want to take steps to match your body with your brain.
And it doesn't matter what our biology says. It's what is in here and maybe here.
Speaking of hearts, many of us are schooled in love and think we get that part.
Right. Men who are in same-sex love relationships are gay, and women who are in same-sex love relationships are lesbian.
Just stop.
Gender attraction is another part of the gender-bred person. Think of it as part of your heart, who you are drawn to.
Oh, Oh, your sexual orientation.
Yes or no? Some people don't even like to use that term.
Well, it's better than saying sexual preference, because we know that's not correct.
Oh, right. Preference implies that you have a choice.
Technically, we all have a choice. This is about everyone embracing their true selves.
Attraction can include the person you want to have an intimate relationship with, but it can also be a romantic or affectional attraction.
It's way more complicated than gay, straight.
There's more.
There is also expression of who we are through what we wear, our demeanor, our behaviors, and even what we may do for fun. This is gender expression.
These are often based on societal constructs of what maleness and femaleness look like. You know, stereotypes.
That's very limiting.
Exactly. I can identify as female and have female parts.
Another term is cisgender.
Yet as a cis female, I might wear what society deems masculine clothing. I might carry myself and communicate like...
Society's idea of a man?
Yes. And the kicker is, I could be completely into men as a cis woman who expresses herself in more masculine ways.
Wait, what?
Huh?
Yep, this genderbread person covers all people, not just LGBTQIA+. It's the gender universe.
Anyway, gender identity and expression have nothing to do with sexual orientation or attraction.
Let me get this straight. I mean clear. My brain, my heart, and my body, even behavior, can be along the continuum of femaleness and maleness.
And manness and womanness and femininity and masculinity.
Or otherness?
Right. We have to understand that putting folks in boxes can be very confining.
Hilarious.
And finally, we have sex.
This is a church service.
No, I'm talking about the physical characteristics we're born with or develop over time.
Biological sex?
Yes, and some people prefer to call this sex assigned at birth, like, you know, on your birth certificate.
Rick Nowak from the Washington Post reported that some nurseries, kindergartens, and preschools in Sweden are using a gender-neutral pronoun. And it is being argued that the pronoun's usage allows children to grow up without feeling the impact of gender biases.
Isn't it obvious based on the parts? You're born male or female.
Not so fast. Almost 2% of the population are born with both physical characteristics.
And it's important to make sex assigned at birth not be gender identity.
So gender identity doesn't equal gender sex.
Which does not equal gender expression.
Which does not equal gender attraction.
This is so complex.
Not really. Just listen and learn from the folks around you.
Don't make assumptions and let folks say what they are comfortable sharing.
Hold the invasive and presumptuous questions and comments.
You can't judge a book by its cover.
Remember, labels are for clothing. People don't need labels.
Lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans, queer, intersex, asexual, they're labels, right?
Think of them as identities. Not all people on the gender spectrum use those identities. For example, two women in a love relationship might refer to themselves as queer and not as lesbians.
All folks on the gender spectrum are human beings, like you and me, and need acceptance, understanding, and love.
In fact, lifting everyone up for their gifts, talents, and humanity is needed now more than ever, regardless of where they fall on the gender spectrum.
The prayer I have to share first is from a leader in Unitarian Universalism, Alex Capitan, who goes by Z and Zir pronouns. It's found in the book Becoming, a Spiritual Guide for Navigating Adulthood, edited by Kayla Parker. I mention this because Skinner House Press, which is the production unit of the Unitarian Universalist Press that produces things for meditation manuals and things you can use at home, would always be glad if you figured out that you wanted to give someone you loved a meditation manual for the holidays. We will have some images running in the background of LGBTQ folks of all stripes. Spirit of the universe, life force that flows through all beings, power beyond our knowing. We ask you to help us see beyond our dependence on opposites, to transcend our desire to know who is like us and who is not. Open us to the knowledge that is in this congregation. There are complexities and diversities of identities beyond black and white, old and young, woman and man, poor and rich, uneducated and educated, disabled and able-bodied, gay and straight, ill and healthy, wrong and right, broken and whole. In this congregation there are people who embody juxtaposition, who can tell stories written on their bodies about both and neither, who carry intimate pieces of the truth that there is no such thing as opposites. Spirit of many names and of no name at all, help us find release from our belief that all things must be either or. This belief that walls us off from one another, ensnaring us in a battle of same versus different. Help us to open our minds, to deeply listen, and to truly know one another, finally glimpsing the kaleidoscope beauty of the divine. In the words of the author of our prayer, Alex says, I was raised Unitarian Universalist, and yet I've never found a congregation where it felt like I could get my spiritual needs met. And my colleague found Unitarian Universalism later in life and has similarly struggled to feel like there's a place within this religion for all who he is. I use that as an introduction as we move into the chance to say the ways in which we celebrate, and we also know there's still progress to be made. I'm here standing before you in this otherwise lay-led service as a bisexual minister within the Unitarian Universalist movement, who was given, while leaving a previous congregation, this lovely stole. It has the slanted stripes on it of the progress flag to say we still need to make progress. The white and pastel pink and blue of the trans flag still needing more work in society. Of the brown and black stripes of the flag. So we remember the diversity issues and how Black Lives Matter, people of color matter, even recognizing within the LGBTQ flag that we need some progress there. And the black one also a recognition of those who died from AIDS. So we come to this place, I know, because I too was raised Unitarian Universalist, in being able to say, wow, we have done so well since the early 70s. The children in our religious education programs have had a well-rounded sexuality education program. I met the person who recorded on what was back then floppy vinyl records for the curriculum called About Your Sexuality of the early 70s, who read the story of another person I know, now passed away, whose story as a gay man was being told and read aloud so that students in Unitarian Universalist religious exploration classes could learn. The newer curriculum, Our Whole Lives, also, we celebrate by knowing that here at UUTC we have continued to raise our children. In my last congregation, I also led Adult Owl, so that the adults who saw all the kids getting all the best stuff could also sign up as well. I celebrate that this congregation renewed its welcoming congregation status. Now, this is a program that's been going on since the late 20th century to have congregations certified as having done some real work and discussion about what it means to be welcoming. Sometimes we have to upgrade what we're doing. Back when I started, congregations might put a pink triangle on their sign, or people would put the pink triangles on their name tags to show that they were either in the LGBTQ spectrum or that they were allies. Now we have rainbow flags, and the sign, the brand new sign out front at UUTC has the rainbow colors lit up at night across the bottom. We have a congregation that worked to renew that old certification. And on my stole, you might be able to see from a distance the pin that says my pronouns are he, him, his. I got that at a Unitarian Universalist Beyond the Binary workshop held at a congregation that was nearby in the region where I was. I learned that those congregations started doing other things to be welcoming. Did they remember that if they had gender groups, a women's group, a men's group, did they remember to put in the descriptions, all who feel they would fit here? Because sometimes we need to be very welcoming by saying on our Zoom names when we meet and greet, he, him, his, they, them, or z, zir, or she, her. All of the different pronouns, if they're placed after a name, if they're on your name tag when we get back together again, if they're in your conversations, then the people around you who may be using different pronouns celebrate, maybe silently, that you are a person open to the diversity of this world, because we are on a whole spectrum. I heard somebody called it a gender universe, if you want to make it even broader than a spectrum, of the ways that we're only just now understanding diversity and realizing the more we understand, the better off we are with our message of celebration of everyone. Our UU principles saying the inherent worth and dignity of each person and the interdependent web of which we all are a part say that we need that diversity, and we respect the core of knowing that a person is in front of us. Our deep listening theme this month says we really do need to pay attention to the way in which people present themselves and speak, to listen quietly, and to know as well that we're on an ongoing search for truth and meaning, as Unitarian Universalists, as our principles say. We don't get stuck on the way it was in the 20th century, the 18th century, or the first century. We're here on the cutting edge and learning and growing. Would you wear a pronoun pin? Or would you put some kind of LGBTQ acceptance sticker on your car? Some I've noticed, and I celebrate that those cars that have appeared in our lot, some of them have the equals sign on it. Others have some rainbow sign. When I was out grocery shopping, I saw somebody with a magnet on the back that was NC Pride. What ways are we living our principles of showing our acceptance of diversity, even if you chose to use the ally flag, where the A is the one with the rainbow colors on it, to show your support that you are a loving and accepting person. Some of the things are hard for us here. Where's our Pride celebration? Where's our gay film festival? Where's our PFLAG meeting? I don't think it's here in Transylvania County. And so sometimes Unitarian Universalists, in our way of advocating and celebrating, go out there and see, is there something we could do? We've got the Rainbow Alliance Group, I think, that used to meet here till COVID started and is on standby for whatever is needed. But what other ways could we celebrate, hey, we helped do that right here? We are a wonderful group of folks, and we make mistakes. And we've seen that in the first part of this service, ways in which people needed to say, oops, when somebody kind of winced as if it was ouch. If we can be supportive, to know that this is something that we learn and grow on, then I think we meet our objectives. We live up to our principles. I invite you to think of yourself as putting on such a stole. In your walking out there as ministers and doing ministry in the way in which you interact with others, so that everyone knows. And if you're not too comfortable yet with the pronouns and the many things that were talked about earlier in the service, you're not alone. Just as I went to a workshop, there are webinars now, and watch for the announcements of the webinars that we will be attending. Join us. Thank you for being who you are, for being this place to welcome all the different peoples and not being stuck on categories of opposites and binaries, of understanding spectrums and universes of the diversity that we love. It comes in all shapes, ages, colors, all orientations, all genders. Thank you for being who you are and always growing. This is the part in the service where I lift up the basket to remind you that it's important for us to give the best of ourselves, our time, our talent, our treasure, to give with love. When we do, in the way in which we've put ourselves out there, or helped out, or started a change in society, in the way in which we've contributed to an organization that, yes, indeed, has the rainbow colors on their building, we are making a difference. And anything that you give, all that you give in your time, talent, and treasure, all the money that you would give that this place continues to be a presence in this community, much needed, with its open doors, well, it's open signal on the internet, saying a different kind of message of acceptance. What's given in love, we receive with great joy, and we say, thank you. I invite you to join in our final hymn of this morning's service. The words will be on the screen.
Spirits into faith set free from fear. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and souls ablaze. When our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way. When we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the stories of our living rings a song both brave and free, calling pilgrims still to witness to the life of liberty. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and souls ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the dreams of youthful vision comes a new prophetic voice, which demands a deeper justice filled by our courageous choice. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and souls ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin.
As we extinguish our flame, let us remember the words and principles that help uphold what we know this light shines for, the glow that we each now carry in our hearts as we go out and live and love in society. I extinguish the helper candle as well. For we all can be helpers in lighting the light, in bringing forward what we believe, in making a difference amongst the cacophony of what we're hearing in this world, and having a true, strong message of love and celebration of diversity. As you go out into your work week, your activities, In whatever you do, may you bring with you the lessons of this day, and may you return again in love when we gather again for worship. Blessed be. Amen.